But I thought, why can't rap be used to praise God?
The work that they do around the community is exceptional.
I gotta prevent these youth, and I feel like it's urgent. Our van would go all up and down these neighborhoods just picking up kids.
I met ex-convicts, ex-gang members, people that have overcome major addictions. But what they all had in common that night is they were on fire for Jesus.
So Hip Hop Hope began to draw young people, and now we glorify God through this new song, new style of music.
Eyes on Me excels at sharing the gospel.
The fact they saw something in me that would now translate into 5 neighborhoods with community centers that are going deep in neighborhoods, that are leading young people to Jesus. It had to be a God thing that moved on their heart. So I grew up in a neighborhood that was predominantly black and brown. And in the 5th grade, I went to a park called Moody Park, and I heard this music known as hip hop music. I was intrigued, I was amazed as a little kid, just like, wow, I wanna do that. Fast forward from 5th grade, I start rapping and recording my raps, and I wanted to be a rapper. And then we decide we're gonna start setting up sound systems and charging churches and making money off churches. So the pastor hired me, and I had to listen to him preach to make my money. Over time, I just started getting curious about Christ. And little did I know that God was tugging at my heart. I was getting my questions answered about God, and I called out to the Lord and said, save me, come into my life. I want this life. I'm reading in the Bible now that that's sinful and the consequences of it. And I'm thinking in my, like, I need to make a change. I need to make a shift. But not only that, I got to go and I got to rescue others who are following this, because it's leading to fatherlessness. It's leading to, unwanted pregnancies. It's leading to gun violence. It's leading to drug abuse. All that destructive stuff that I learned here. Now I'm like, I got to prevent these youth. And I feel like it's urgent. Then I began the journey of discovering Christian hip hop. I thought, why can't rap be used to praise God? Why can't lyrics that we preach in sermons, because we used to write 3 verses, which is like a sermon packed in a song. So Hip Hop Hope began to draw young people because it was cool, it was relevant, and we began to preach the gospel at the end. Young people coming to Christ. We're baptizing in horse troughs. So it began to multiply. Other neighborhoods wanted it. That led to Brookshire. We did the assembly during the school. It went great. At night, we had an event in the auditorium where we could freely proclaim the gospel, and 100 and something kids came to the altar. And that's how the work began in Brookshire. And then about 7 years in, I think God heard my private prayers of, I want to do more.
In 2015, I was the CEO of a small oil field service company that one day God very audibly called me out of the corporate world and said, are you ready to come build my kingdom? I said yes.
And at that time, I was in 5th Ward doing Hip Hop Hope, and this guy named Dennis Turnipseed comes through the gate. And he goes, God called me from the corporate world. So you teach me ministry. I'll help teach you executive and admin work. And man, we joined forces, and it just lifted the ceiling off of where I could go.
The hangar has moved so consistently in the direction of people in need in this community that when people in this community have a need, guess what? They move in the direction of the hangar. The work that they do around the community is exceptional.
What I didn't realize was that Eyes on Me served in some of the toughest places around Houston.
It's a community that has the highest number of fatherless homes in the greater Houston area.
And I come across this ministry doing this street outreach program called Hip Hop Hope. And I met people that night that I'd never been around in my entire life. I met ex-convicts, ex-gang members, people that have overcome major addictions, people from really hard places. But what they all had in common that night is they were on fire for Jesus.
We show up in people's crisis, in some of their worst times, because we believe just like Ian could change, just like Ryan could change, they can change too, but it's got to be through Christ.
I remember some of these kids, barely knew anything about Jesus when they started interacting with the hangar. And now those kids are stepping up as leaders and inviting others to come here to the hangar, and to see how their lives have been impacted because someone shared the gospel with them and how they've been transformed is absolutely inspiring.
What we have seen as we go deeper in communities is the youth in vulnerable places are not learning skills, not developing talents to move into a productive adulthood.
We wanted to give them something that they could put in their back pocket and be able to go into the world, utilize the skills that they've been given so they could be successful, to just give them a chance, to give them hope.
So our trade programs and our talent development programs are our means to pull youth together from vulnerable places and teach them skills so that they can move into a productive adulthood. And today, they've started their own businesses or they're gainfully employed.
That is a testimony to their faithfulness in moving in the direction of people in need.
And then we can take that and integrate it with our ministry, because one of the things we want to make sure that we do, that we are different from everyone else, is we are not going to lose the faith aspect of this organization.
Eyes on Me excels at sharing the gospel. The work that they do during the week through their mentorship program, all of their school initiatives, they share the gospel and baptize more people than just about anybody I know.
Stoller Foundation was instrumental in what you see today. I don't know how we'd be where we are if they didn't believe in a hip-hop kid. The fact they saw something in me that would now translate into 5 neighborhoods with community centers that are going deep in neighborhoods, that are leading young people to Jesus. It had to be a God thing that moved on their heart to invest. I didn't map that out. I didn't draw that out. That was the hand of God, just walking with Him and Him using people